Gilbert. I should apologize for having murdered your last name, really, which should have been pretty easy for me because it is Mwenedata.
Yeah, that's
my
right.
brother.
Thanks.
What about Rwanda? Seems, by any indications, frankly, it looks like we are looking at a world champion here in terms of women empowerment.
Yeah, that's right. Me too. Thank you, first of all, for having me in this studio. And as you said, the other name is Mwenedata. But I also want to clarify, my colleague here is a doctor. I am not. So in the introduction, you may have said doctor, but when it comes to me, I'm not a doctor. So on that one, when it comes to Rwanda being a champion for promoting women, and especially when it comes to the political rights, me too, as a Rwandan, I want to say that in many cases, I feel really I feel honored whenever anything good is spoken about my country. But on the other hand, I feel like we also sometimes need to really look carefully at what we are doing and see what impact it is making. So as you said, we have a big number of Rwandans in some decision-making positions. But sometimes the impact is not as big as the numbers. So that's why I can say that sometimes when we really want to look at, to be close enough and look at it, we really have a lot to say about it.
Why do you think that the impact doesn't look good? Why?
It's, let's see, like, within the parliament, we have 64% of women in parliament. I really like having that big number.
That is the single largest, by the way, globally.
Actually, yeah, that's right. But does it mean that kind of inclusion we are talking about? Maybe, yeah, there are many in parliament, but also when you look to the few who dared to exercise their political rights, also who are women, I can say we don't only have many of them in parliament, but we also have many of them in jail.
By the way, before you go to many of those who are in jail, what about these legislators? Are they elected or are they appointed? And if it is the latter, who actually appoints them?
Actually, as someone who once tried to run for a seat in parliament, actually in the past I also have done that. So, and I know exactly what the process and how to get there. If really having supporters was enough to get there, I should have been there by the time I was running. On this one, I'm really trying to be honest, and any Rwandan who is listening to me right now may agree with me that the number of people who are supporting you is not enough to get there. So as you are saying, it's like, first of all, depending on who is supporting you or on like who asked you to, to run for it, so you are likely to get in. But when it comes to voting, citizens know very well, maybe this may not apply only to Rwanda, but to some other African countries, but their votes don't, don't count, that they, they may just come to the ballot. But I have realized that there is an increasing loss when it comes to the trust that people are having for the system, when it comes to expressing their views and to say this is the candidate we want to represent us. Actually, people know that when it comes to their representatives, they don't really have a lot to say about it. Someone somewhere decide for you who is to represent you, and you only have to comply. A little thing I can add on this, they also like to say that they see them only short before the elections, and then they are gone for good. They will come back again a few days before the election.
You still haven't really answered my question. Are these women in the Rwandan parliament elected by the people, or are they appointed?
Okay, it is considered, it's like when the way they say it, the name is elections. So, but when you see how it works, so I think like I can say what is said is not necessarily what is being done. So normally it is that kind of indirect voting when it comes to the positions for women. And for the other women, it is also on the list of political parties. So depending on the number you are given on the list, so then you can get in. Just to give you an example, each political party will give names of both men and women, and number 1, number 2, number 3, and depending on how much they win, like RPF always is winning 40 seats in parliament. So that would mean if you are among the 40 people who are from 1 up to 40, so you are likely to get in parliament. So did people vote for you? Maybe, but you are just on the list of a political party. So you vote for a party and then they give you whoever they want to give you.
By RPF, I